Hi guys, it's Emily from Novell Novels and welcome to today's video. This is my September wrap up part 2 and it's lots and lots of 4 stars. I'm saying that because yet again 4 stars seems to be dominating the numbers this month, and yeah, it's not felt as good a reading month. I don't know why. I don't know if it's the number of 5 stars, which I know is a lot less than last month. Yeah, I think that is less than last month. God, it is. Like, yeah, it's just not felt like as good a reading month. Obviously, I'll go through my stats first, but it is also one of the things I've noticed is fantasy has been my comfort zone this month, and I've done a lot better with that. And I don't know if it's because the kids are back at school, I've read less, I don't know what's going on, but it's not felt like as good a reading month. And I've really had to push it to get any sort of 5 stars in the second half of the month. But let's get on with the stats. I will do doodles. I've got all my notes here. And yeah, we'll flag it. So, right. First things first, let's talk about my numbers. I'm happy with that. Admittedly, as you'll see on the next video, I've had to work my butt off not to get books in the second half of the month, because I bought a lot of the first and I got given lots, but those numbers you'll see on the book haul, which should be the next video. So I read 33 books this month, which was a lot less than August, but that's more like normal. 33 books is more like a normal amount for me. And I have kind of cheated and read a couple of short books. I read 30 off the unread TBR because 3 of them were library books. I gained 30 books. Excuse me. I unhauled 2 off my unread TBR. One was a DNF and one was, no, I think they were both DNFs, excuse me. They were just ones that just didn't feel right, so that's fine. I'll explain. I know we've got one of them is a definite DNF, and the other one I can't remember why I took it off. And then my September unread TBR was 297 books, and my October unread TBR is 295. I'm kind of happy in this area. I don't necessarily need to drop by very much, but I don't want to go up by very much, because I'm bearing in mind that December is obviously Christmas time, and that will come up, and then I'll probably gain then. So I know in December, obviously, I do try and buy less because I know that obviously I get books bought for me for Christmas. But I have got aware that I'm filming this on the last day of the month, so the 30th. I've kind of already gained like 8 books this month already because I went shopping with Kat, which is another video that's coming up in London, and I got gifted 3 books already. So yeah, and I'm also in October going charity shopping with Charlie, which is going to be fun. So I'm just going to try and be good. But I don't mind. These numbers are numbers I'm happy with. As for the genres, I read 1 non-fiction, which is a lot less than normal. 1 literary fiction, and that was a good book. I read 1 mystery. 1 thriller. The 2 are very similar. You'll see when you get to them. 2 classics. I think I know what they are. 6 fantasy, and that's been a massive, like, a lot of those I read towards the end of the month because I just needed it. Like, my reading has just not felt as amazing this month. I only read 8 historical fiction, which is a lot less than normal, and 13 contemporary. So what did I like last month? So last month I read like 9 historical fiction. So historical fiction is like going down a little bit. Contemporary is obviously, I think that obviously went down, but fantasy has definitely gone up. And I think that's been where I've actually, I read slightly more non-fiction. Yeah, I just think for me they're zones that I'm comfortable with. They're numbers that I'm comfortable with. I'm already starting to think about my emoji. Why do I not plan this very well? So my 1 definite DNF was The Double Life of Daisy Hemmings, which was a works book that I added on for my TBR and it just didn't work. I can't for the life of me remember what other one it was, but I unhauled because I should have written it down. It probably is in my diary somewhere, but I'm not organised. Sorry. You'll see this, and I'm having one of those busy days today. Right, it's mainly because I'm filming this today because I've got a hospital appointment tomorrow, which is this is coming live on Friday. It's going to be a manic week this week. So I've got 3 3 stars, which is more than last month, I believe. Yeah, hang on a minute. Yeah, so 3 stars. No, that was I only had 1 3-star last month. Then it was 2 3.5 stars, which is similar to last month. I read 15 4-stars, but it was 17 4-stars last month. But this is the number that's gone down, and that is I read 6 4.5 stars, whereas I read 8 last month. And then for the 5 stars, I read 7 5 stars, and I read 9 5 stars last month. So those higher numbers have dropped, but the 4.5 stars have definitely dropped, and the 5 stars have dropped. And I felt that this month. My reading rate, when I looked at my story graph, is definitely lower this month. I can feel it. So it's okay. It's just not felt like I've gone as amazing as I could have done. So let me show you the books. I don't want this video to be ridiculously long today because, like I said, I've got a lot to do. I'm currently, oh, before I do anything else, I'm currently in the middle of Here One Moment by Leanne Moriarty, which is a tandem ad PR product book that I'm reading. So I've just sort of started this-ish. And then I'm still reading Gone with the Wind, which we finished this month. So those are 2 books that were not necessarily on my TBR. That Gone with the Wind one was, but you know what I mean. So those are 2 books that I'm currently reading. And I'm already starting, I'm about to start my October ones because I'm starting October with 7 books on the go. It's starting to make me flap slightly. Right. So, the first book I'm showing you is The Turn of Midnight by Minette Waters. It's the sequel to The Last Hours, and I didn't like it as much. I don't know why. I don't know if it's my headspace. I'm starting to. Again, it was about the Black Death and continuing its course. I almost don't feel like it continued. Either the fact that I read the Last Hours a long time ago, and I should have probably reread it before I read this, but this didn't feel as good. It didn't get my goat. It didn't get me excited. It just wasn't as good. So I felt a bit disappointed in that one. It really just didn't grab me as much. And although it was about the Black Death, and it did continue with some characters, and I did see like characters from the first book, it's just not for me. And I don't think Minette Waters is my kind of author. So that'll be my last one I'll try from her. And that's going to be Charity Shop. Then a book that I got from the local charity shop, Revenge of the Middle-Aged Woman. I was hoping there'd be more like revenge in this. I was hoping it'd be more like getting back at her cheating, because it's a cheating trope, which I hate. I thought it'd be a bit more action-packed, but it wasn't. It was about a middle-aged woman who then decides she splits up with her husband, that kind of thing, and she goes off and does her own thing. But I was hoping for more in this. I really was hoping for more revenge, more sort of laughs and fun. But the cheating trope was just too standout. It was all right. It wasn't a bad book. Neither of them are bad books. Just nope. I'm not even going to give that to Mum. Then a book that Charlie got me, and she said it's the Kamigawa Food Detectives. Got a cat on the cover. Yes, there is a cat in it. That does help it. But the cat's not enough. It's for fans of Before the Coffee Gets Cold. So it's a different story, a different chapter for a different story for a different person. And they're using food detectives they're using food to like bring up memories and like complete it. But when you're comparing, it's very similar writing. It's by Hishigo Kabu. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to say that. It's very similar writing to the Before the Coffee Gets Cold series, but I preferred the Before the Coffee Gets Cold series way more than I preferred this. So it is a good book, and it was 3 stars, kind of almost 3.5. It was just not amazing. If you like the Before the Coffee Gets Cold series, read it and you'll really enjoy it, but just don't expect it to be as good. Then to a book that Charlie got me, and I think for me, I'm rating it 3.5 stars because it is good writing, but it was just a bit too middle grade. I like middle grade fantasy, but I don't like middle grade contemporary. And this was more middle grade contemporary. And this was The Girl with the Space in Her Heart. And it is a good book, good middle grade book, and it's someone that I definitely think middle grade children should read. And it's about like a girl who's lost her father, and her father's gone, not dead as far as we know, but like she feels more connected to stars than she does to other people around here. Her family are going through issues, and like she wants to get rid of her sister. And I think that it was a bit too middle grade-y for me, and not as enough sort of, like I said, more contemporary. It is a heartwarming story about love's never lost, and change doesn't have to be scary. I think that's something we need to teach our children, that, you know, if we lose people, and how to deal with it, and that change isn't scary, and it's something that children, I know, Mia and Thomas, like certainly Thomas doesn't like change, so it's something about sort of teaching it that, but it's all right. I think too middle grade-y for me. And now the one that I added to TBR halfway through the month, and this was gifted to me by the lovely Angela from Reading Off My Shelf. She didn't love it, and I think I rated it 3.5 stars, which was exactly as Alice rated it. And yes, I'm finding myself, now that I've got her story graph, I can like look back and think how. I remember I was talking about this, and it's not as much about Agatha as it is about the mistress of Agatha's husband. And I think for a massive Agatha fan, which is, like I said, you've now converted me. I'm a massive Agatha fan. I found myself getting annoyed at certain bits of the portrayal of Agatha, and it's not just about Agatha. It's more about Agatha's husband's mistress. There are some scenes in this which are set in Ireland. I can't really go into detail because it's spoilers. But it's about that 11 days when Agatha disappeared. And it's got some stuff that I think for me, is it rumours? We don't know what happened when Agatha disappeared. That disappearance was really intriguing. It's imagining, like I said, it is more about Agatha's husband and mistress. And I don't even know if that bit's factual or not. And she's more in it than Agatha, basically. If you go into this knowing that it's not as much about Agatha, and if you're not as much of an Agatha fan, you might like this more. It is a good book. I'm not sure whether to keep it or not. And Angela, you've sent it to me, but I'm not sure whether I'll keep it or not, because I did struggle with certain bits of that. I did like the references to Agatha's books, though. There are references to some of Agatha's books, which I'm enjoying. And I did like those references. Anything reference to that, her writing style, that kind of thing, is very good. I just didn't love it as much as I wanted to. That's a bit of a not sure about. So those were all okay books. 4-star books are what I would call good books. They're not amazing, but they're good. And a lot of my contemporaries are 4 stars. So these books are books that definitely I would recommend. And if you like contemporary, or if you like sort of books. This first one is Chasing Dreams at Hedgehog Hollow. This was the one that my mum gifted me, and it's part of the series. So I'm keeping this one because it's part of the series. But it was probably my least favourite in the series so far. So I think it's like the 4th, and I've got the 5th I'm going to be adding on in the second half of the month. And Chasing Dreams at Hedgehog Hollow is more about Lauren, who is Samantha's bloke's, I can't say deep name because otherwise it gives spoilers for the first book in the series, Samantha's bloke's auntie. And that's more of her story. Lauren, it's about her story. Because 26 years ago, her husband Sean left her a note and was never seen again. 2 painful divorces later, she can't open up to anyone. But what if the closure she's dreamed about for all these years is closer than she thinks? And it is about Samantha and her secrets. And yeah, there is a good book. It was just not as good as the rest of the series. So I'm going to keep that as my keepy one. Then to the last book that I finished yesterday, and this is The Blessed Child by Rosie Goodwin. This was one I did enjoy. It was 4 stars, but it's very hard hitting. Rosie Goodwin's books are very, it's very sort of tough. And it's set in 1864, which I think is part of the Victorian era. But it's set in Nuneaton, and about after Nelsie Carson's mother is brutally murdered and her father abandons them. Nessie knows she will do anything to keep her family safe. And it's her story, really, about her siblings, about what she does to keep them safe. There are sort of some triggers in this. And she meets when her fragile young brother's health deteriorates, she meets the kindly Dr. Oliver Dorsey, who's dashing and kind, and Nancy is attracted to him, but because of the class difference, she's very aware they can't be together. And this is their journey. It is a good book. It is a historical fiction book. Actually, see if Mum wants to borrow this. And it's Rosie Goodwin's writing's good. It definitely got better. You get the ending you kind of want, and it's a very good book. But yeah. And then to my library book, which is Wilder Than Midnight by Kerry Burndale. This is literally, the reason why it's 4 stars and not 5 is because I think it's too many fairy tale retellings for me. There is a lot of different fairy tale retellings, and I think for me there's just slightly too many and slightly too many different disjointed bits. But it's basically about three girls that are the key characters in this: Sapphy, Aurelia and Wild Rose. Sapphy's a good girl used to following the rules, yet curious to take the path unexplored. Aurelia is a defiant girl locked in the tower but planning her escape. And you've got Wild Rose, who is a fierce girl raised by wolves and determined to set her forest free. Together they will change the life of Silverthorn forever. Very fun middle grade fantasy. It's 4 stars. It's probably my least highest rating fantasy, but I did enjoy it. It was really good. It was just what I needed. It was fun, fast paced, yeah, loads of retellings, and it has disability rep, which I loved. I definitely like I said, I'm definitely going for the fantasy thing. Then a book that I added to my TBR, not in the Doodah one, but I added it because after speaking to Kat. And this is I, Mona Lisa by Natasha Solomons. I didn't like one of Natasha Solomon's first book that I read by her. I cannot for the life of me remember. Oh yeah, Mr. Bloomingdale's List. Mr. Rosenblum's List. This surprised me. I liked it a lot more, and I was a bit wary going into it because it does feel a bit more literary. It's a bit of magical realism, and the storylines do jump. And I think had it not been the jumping storylines and the jumping timelines, I probably would have liked it more. But it's about Mona Lisa. It's got a lot of history in it, a lot in it. I just think it's a really, really good book. Really enjoyable, really good fun, and actually not enjoyable, very sad, very tragic. And what Mona Lisa is sort of seeing history, she's a painting that's talking. And you've got a lot of historical about all the artists of their time, and wrote Leonardo da Vinci, and you've got a lot of the artists. And I found myself sort of going back and looking at the character listings, which really did help. You've got the character listings of all the different places that Mona Lisa goes. And you've got Pablo Picasso turning up, and I actually found it quite fascinating, and I'm actually glad I read this. So yeah, I'm glad I did. I think Charlie spoke highly about it. It's not one Mum's going to like, so it is one for the charity shop, but it is a lot better than I was expecting. And now I might not close off Natasha Solomons. So yeah. And then we got a contemporary. We got My One True North by Millie Johnson. We all know Millie Johnson doesn't disappoint. We all know she's amazing. And yes, there's Sweet popping in. And it is emotional. It is. I'm holding thingy. Like, this is my phone stand. This is Chris's phone stand. It is a really good book, and it is a very good contemporary. Hello, Sweet. And this is about Lauren and Pete should never have met, but fate has pushed them together for a reason. 6 months on, I'm holding this. 6 months on, like from an accident, I think both those characters lose their partners. I'm gonna do that there, so just so you can't. I'm sorry about the wobbling screen, guys. And yeah, it is about, this again is very emotional. It does talk about grief quite a lot. It does talk about loss. It talks about sort of that sort of area, and it is good. And it was a really good. Millie Johnson does not disappoint. I think I've read a lot of her books this year. She's a great contemporary author, really good, and I really, really enjoyed this book. Should I have waited for the paperback? Yes, but it was a charity shop buy, so Mum, this is one definitely for Mum. So yeah, really like her writing, really good, but the grief bit was a bit hard hitting considering. Then we've got the, hang on a second because I'm just turning over the page because I need to remember where I go from 4 stars to 4.5 stars. The Boathouse at Stepping Stone Bay by Helen Roth. This is my second book by this author, aren't I? It's one that's going back to charity shop, but once Mum's read it actually. I've got to take the sticker off because I know that Annalisa will not need to see the sticker. And this is about, as a kid, Nina O'Brien spent her days at her summer at her grandparents' cabin by the beach in Stepping Stone Bay. Long sunny days and full of fun and laughter with her best friends, Leo, Adrian and me. Her friendships with Leo slowly blossomed into love until one fateful night when everything happened. And 12 years later, Nina must return to the bay to renovate the old cabin. This is a romance. Again, you've got grief in it. Again, you've got some things like that. But I think it's a really good, cosy romance, and this is definitely a Mum one. Then to an Agatha that I feel guilty that I rated it 4 stars, but I think I rated it higher than Charlie, and higher than Alice, and I rated it higher than all of them. I will do my live for this book, but I'm sorry, with my personal life being a bit insane at the moment. I will link Michelle in. She volunteered to do the live with me, and I will plan it. But I need to kind of wait until my personal life settles down a little bit, and I will do a live. I'm sorry. This is for the first book by Agatha for the Agatha Along. Alice for Agatha for Alice. I really, really did enjoy it. I enjoyed it, but it wasn't like one of my favourites. But from what I read from other people's ratings, like I said, I think Alice rated it 3.5, and I think Charlie rated it 3.5, and I think Jem rated it 3. And this is her first Poirot book, and I'm glad I started it with it. You definitely needed to start the Agatha along with that. And it will, like I said, I'm not going to go into too much detail because I will do a live for it. I'm hoping probably this is coming out on the Friday. I will talk to Michelle and probably try and plan it within the next week or so, and then we can talk a bit more about thingies. But yeah, just need to give me a little bit longer to get my head back into space that I can do a live and not freak out. And yeah, I just need to get things, my ducks to get a bit more in a row. But yeah, I really did enjoy that. So that's a definite keepy. That needs to go over there. That's my keepy. And then I read The Last Chance Debutantes by Julia Kelly. Why do I keep reading books from Baz Books and then I need to take the stickers off before I know that I'd return them? And this is about like one of the last debutante series, because obviously we know that the debutantes thing ran for a very long. The debutantes ran for a very long time, and I think they stopped with Queen Elizabeth II. And this is about that last season where it was happening, and about three very different girls. I think it's three very different girls and their journey on that last debutante. And it's about Lily Nichols, who's agreed to do the season even though she doesn't want to. Two other women, Leanna, whose apparent perfection hides a darker side, and then you've got ambitious Catherine, who dreams of a career. I love Catherine, don't particularly like Leanna, but you'll understand why. And I really like Lily. I like the fact that Lily grows in this book, and I definitely think it's a really good on that part. I might like it. One to definite one that Mum's not going to like, and I'm going to save this for Cat. And this is X's and O's by Amy Lee. Why is it? I've just remembered I should have given that to her when I saw her, but I wanted to talk about it in this video. This is the second in the series by Amy Lee, and I did enjoy the first book. But the life of me, I can't. Set on You. The Set on You had fat-phobic comments in it. This doesn't have any sort of triggery, that kind of characteristics in it. So I really enjoyed this. This is more about Tara, and who's had her heart broken 10 times by 10 different men. Nevertheless, she's determined to find romance. So she decides that modern dating apps have killed the meet cute. So Tara decides to revisit all her exes to see if any of them are the one. And she also moves in with Trevor Metcalfe, who's a fireman. And yes, you've got a lot of sexy scenes with the fireman. I can dream, hey. And he's the first to rush into a burning building, but he's the last to rush into a relationship. And their friendship, let alone, I'm not going to tell you if there's a romance that happens, but their friendship really is good. And watching Tara grow, and it's just a really good, feel-good, bit of sauce, bit of romance, bit of good fun. I really, really enjoyed that. I really, really actually enjoyed that. And Kat actually did pick a book for me to read when I was feeling a bit crappy. So thanks, Kat. That was 4.5 stars. The next one's 4.5 stars, and that's Black and British. It's not 5 stars. Again, this was based at the middle grade audience, so I'm giving this back to Baz Books, the charity shop, because I do want more people to read it, but I think it should be in the children's section or non-fiction. But it's definitely taught me a lot about Black history in the UK that I didn't know, and because it is aimed at middle grade, it didn't feel too overwhelming, and I did learn a lot, and I was really impressed by what I learned. I think this is perfect. This should be part of the curriculum, because in my eyes this is something that really needs to be shouted out, and I'm really, really impressed by that. I really, really do. Then my tandem, this is Love Book Tour book. And this is Just One Weekend by Catherine Aitken. I read her other book about the Bella book, and this is one that I'm going to get back to my mum, and my mum is definitely going to read this. I've done a full scale review on it on Instagram and on my Goodreads account, which I don't really use my Goodreads now, but it is on Instagram. So if you want to look at my review, I think that's the best place to find this, and I'll go into more detail because there is a trope that I don't like. If you want to know, just message me and I'll let you know. But it is about Sandy, who wants adventure. She's bored of waiting for her husband, so she decides to go on a trip to New York with her best friend to see a reunion concert for The Brig, the pop group she fangirled over when she was younger. Really did enjoy this. It is a very good book. It is emotional. It does talk about a woman finding herself, and there are some triggers in this, but it's done really, really well, and I do think this is definitely a good book. And then to another book, one of the last ones that I finished, and that is Hex Education by Maureen Kilmer. This is 4.5 stars because it's a fantasy, as in witchy book, and I blooming love it. It's not about romance at all. It's fantasies, it's witches, it's a bit spooky, a bit scary at times, but fun, and it was just what I needed. I pretty much read this to and from London when I went out with Kat, and it's about 3 friends, Sarah, Katrina and Alicia, who were inseparable 20 years ago at college, and then something happens, and a catastrophic fire that burnt down their college, and it sort of changed everything. And then now, sort of 20 years later, obviously in the present time, Sarah Nelson has built a life for herself. She's literally hidden up her witchy stuff and she doesn't let anyone know about it. And she is a realtor and she focuses her life on her children and her husband. And then the magic has laid dormant, and then suddenly there is something that causes the Formula Coven to reunite, and their magic no longer wants to stay hidden, and the power of magic and the power of what happens. So yeah, I thought that was really good. Really, really good. Not one Mum's going to like. I think I might actually keep it. I think I'm actually going to keep this one. Then to my 3 5 stars. I'm not going to get you to choose between them because they're all really good. The first one is a book that I needed, and that was Saving Neverland by Abby Elphinstone. It is a Peter Pan retelling, but done so well. So it's the Peter Pan retelling bit set like well after, like hundreds of years after Peter Pan. And number 14, Darlington Road, may look like perfectly ordinary, but that's because magic is good at hiding. Now she's 10, Martha Pennydrop has decided that to turn her back on magic and make believe once for all. And then when she discovers a drawer full of mysterious gold dust in the new house, along with a window that's seemingly impossible to close, it seems like magic might have other plans, and she goes to Neverland. And Peter Pan is back and needs Martha's help to end the legendary ice curse that's been caused by Captain Hook. I just love this. This was just what I needed. I picked this up on one of our London trips. I think it was the second London trip, and I'm so going to reread this because it gave me everything that I needed. And I just absolutely loved it. I really can't describe my love for this book. I love Peter Pan. It's one of my favourite fairy tales. One of my favourite. Hook is one of my favourite Disney like films, like Hook which had the late Robin Williams, is one of my favourites. I just loved it. And I now want to reread Peter Pan because this was just so good. She smashed it. I don't think there's very many Peter Pan retellings that could be done as well as that, but it really was. So yes, this is definitely my favourite of the second half. Then to the last book that I finished last night was Aya and the Star Chaser by Radia Hafiza. This is another one that I'm keeping because I really enjoyed it. I read Rumi Leisure not very long ago this year, and I've got Rumi Leisure Ever After to reread. This is a book that was gifted to me by one of my anonymous gifters, an ordinary girl with powers out of this world, and Aya has been fascinated by the stars, and one night she's struck by them, and the magic comes in, and it's about friendship. There is a bit of a retelling on this, and I really, really enjoyed it. It was just what I needed to finish the month on. I finished the month on a 5-star, which is what we needed. And then last but not least, it's Inez Kiss, which is Hyacinth's story but Bridgerton. And I was surprised how much I loved this because Hyacinth, when in the films that I'm watching at the moment, is still very young. So having this in it when she's in her 20s felt like my bit of a head fudge. But I really enjoyed this, and I like Hyacinth's character. I think in all the films and like in the younger bit, she's just a young girl. She's just the one that's a little bit of a naughty youngest who never knew her father because her father died when her mum was pregnant with her. And you see that, and you do see the siblings in this a little bit. You see more of Gregory. I think Gregory's more in this than some of the other ones. And she meets the particularly like outspoken guy, Gareth St. Clair, and that sort of romance and about cross paths, and I just love her character. Hyacinth really surprised me how much I really enjoyed her character in this, and it was just a really lovely book. I can't wait to read Gregory's book and then the Linky one in. It's just what I needed. But I think if you got to the end of this, because fantasy's been my jam, this really has cheered me up. If you can do any emoji to do with fantasies, like a wand emoji, I think that's probably my fantasy thing, or any emojis that's to do with magic and fantasy would be good. But if you can find the wand emoji, that would be great. But let me know what's your favourite books of the month. I did mean to say that actually my favourite book of the month, even more than these, are the ones that I read in the first. One of the ones I read in the first half of the month, which was The Trouble with Mrs. Montgomery Hurst. Casey book just smashed it. That was my favourite of the month, and it's going on my favourite of the years. But yeah, my surprising thing has been how much I've loved fantasy this month and how much it's really captured my heart. But let me know, what's your favourite book of the month? I'd love to know in the comments down below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you're new to my channel, not subscribe, ring on my ding-a-ling, and I'll see you all soon. Bye bye.